समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है, अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है, अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
For almost 2 weeks now, we've been caught up with the CGP protests. What happened as a result? The march to Parliament, the police action, then the many controversies, action shifting to Supreme Court of India, and also debate in National Parliament. Rahul Gandhi, the government hitting back, all of that. However, all this while, it's not as if the news cycle has come to its standstill in the rest of the world. The Ukraine-Russia war has taken another turn. Zelensky looks like, once again, Trump has fallen in love with him. The estrangement is over. Netanyahu has gone in bed Trump. Israel is heading for elections. The US-Iran war has also taken a different turn because the Iranians are now hitting Jordan, and in the melee, looks like somebody fired 2 drones at an oil tanker close to Egypt as well. That was not an area of conflict earlier. So that war is also expanding. So we have a bunch of choices, and while all of that's happening, some really interesting developments have taken place in our immediate neighborhood as well. In fact, in our most interesting neighborhood. So that is where we are focusing today. We'll go back to Ukraine, Russia, Iran, the US, Israeli elections in the course of time as and when we get those gaps in our domestic news cycle. So today we are talking about what's happening in the region that we call as Pakistan Occupied Kashmir. We know in 1947, Kashmir sort of got divided between 1947, say about October 1947 to early 1949. The new countries, newly independent countries fought a 2-season war. At the end of the 2-season war, there was a ceasefire line where the war stopped. That ceasefire line was sort of consecrated by the UN because Nehru decided to go to the UN, and then there were UN resolutions. Since then, that ceasefire line has formed the de facto border in Kashmir, dividing the state of Jammu and Kashmir, which as far as we are concerned in India, read your constitution, look at the map of India, it's part of India, all of it is a part of India. As far as Pakistanis are concerned, they don't call it a part of Pakistan. They say this is Azad Kashmir. That's a pretense, and I will explain to you as we go ahead why it's a pretense. They say it's an Azad Kashmir and shall remain free until its people through a referendum or a plebiscite decide where they want to go. It's a bit tricky, I will come to that. That region, because the Pakistanis always wanted to say that this is a separate entity. They've held elections there very often, such as the elections are there, even while they are not holding elections in Pakistan, to make the case that this is an autonomous, different territory. This is not a part of Pakistan. Yet again, there's a twist there. I will come to it. So please don't jump to any conclusions. Don't get angry with me prematurely. Let's go sequentially. That region, Pakistan Occupied Kashmir, is further divided into 2. So one part is what the Pakistanis now call Azad Kashmir, which is where they say the ultimate destiny will be decided after a referendum or a plebiscite. The other part, the more northwestern part of this, which is more mountainous, less populated, that is what we call as Gilgit-Baltistan. Today it has 3 divisions, Gilgit, Baltistan and Daimar. Daimar, if you might remember, Daimar is where that big, humongous Daimar Basha Dam is being built. That's where a bunch of Chinese workers were killed just a couple of years back. On that also, we had an entire episode of Katta Clutter, of which I will share a copy with you. In that complex region, which Pakistan divided into 2, the region that the Pakistanis call Azad Kashmir, we call all of this Pakistan Occupied Kashmir. In what they call as Azad Kashmir, they are holding an election. And this is the election for the local assembly. You can call it assembly, you can call it parliament. It's part of the Pakistani pretense that the leadership of the Kashmir that they control, part of Kashmir that they control, they are called President and Prime Minister. They are called President and Prime Minister as if it's a country in its own right. That election is going on. That election process has to take place in 3 stages. 27th July, that's happened already. 2nd August, I will give you details. And then 10th of August. In the first round, protests have taken place. Those protests have been countered by the armed forces of Pakistan, who fired freely. You've seen all of these videos that have come out. We'll try and run some on the other half of the screen as I talk. You can see soldiers with AK-47 sometimes shooting at close range at people. The current toll over the past 3 days is 37 dead and more than 200 injured. In the series of riots since June, 90 people have been killed. That is pretty much confirmed by Pakistani media and also international media. In fact, the Pakistani government's response to this has also been that these are quote-unquote anti-national elements or anti-Pakistani elements, and these are Indian agents. The Pakistani politician who made this statement most clearly and in his typical direct style was Khwaja Asif, the defense minister of Pakistan. He is famous also for making many boo-boos and gaffes on the media. He's the one who said that these are Indian agents and this is India inspired, and anybody who's agitating in their part of Kashmir is actually working at the behest of the Indians, is anti-national, anti-Pakistan, and also that Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan is involved, that many people wearing masks are firing at Pakistani soldiers and they happen to be from Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. Those are the allegations being made. However, the fact is that 37 have been killed on the day of the polling and after. The first round of polling, 27 July, look at the map of Pakistan Occupied Kashmir, this region. Once again, in India, when we say PoK, we include Gilgit-Baltistan. But the region right now that's going to elections, 27 July, the Mirpur region. Mirpur is a very heavily populated region. Mirpuris are also people who went overseas. So in fact, if you go to Britain now, there are large Mirpuri communities in Britain. 2nd August, Muzaffarabad region goes to the polls. Muzaffarabad is like capital of this region. And August 10, Poonch goes to the poll. Poonch has been the most rebellious. In fact, the most intense protests have taken place in the town of Rawalkot, which is in Poonch. So the most rioting and killing and protests have taken place as yet in the region which has not yet gone to the polls and which will go to the polls last. First round has taken place in Mirpur. Now you might ask me, why are people angry? What are they demanding? First of all, once again, be careful. You will find, if you watch TV channels, I'm so sorry, usual suspects, you might hear voices saying people want to join with India, people are demanding cessation from Pakistan, people want to join India. No, that is not happening. Let's stay with facts. People have local grievances and political grievances. Local grievances, they protested about in the past, in 2024, 2025. We've had 2 more episodes of Katta Clutter on this. You will get your links. Please look at those. Earlier, the impulse was more economic. Economic in the sense that atta, that is wheat flour, had become too expensive. Then Pakistan government said, we'll throw in some money, we'll subsidize it for you. Then again, a regional demand. Regional demand was that why are you charging a cess on electricity that we buy, whereas this electricity, which goes to all of Pakistan, is produced in our region. The region, because a lot of the rivers of the Indus River system going in from India, these go down steep gradients, they make for excellent tidal power generating possibilities. And that's why a lot of the power is produced there in what is called as Neelam Jhelum project. So people are saying, look, you're using our mountains, our rivers to produce this power, you're taking it all over Pakistan. And even when we buy this power, you charge us a cess on it. That's not right. Those were mostly local grievances. There was another grievance which was talked about, which has now become center stage because there is an election. To understand that grievance, we have to see how the House or the Assembly of the so-called Azad Kashmir or Pakistan Occupied Kashmir is constituted. It's a House of 53. House of 53, you would say anybody who gets 27 has the majority, should rule. But this is more tricky because the devil is in the detail. The House has 53 members, but of these 53, only 45 are elected. Even within those elected 45, there is a complexity. I'll come to that. But before that, you will ask me, if only 45 are elected, what happens to the remaining 8? These 8 nominated members also have a breakup. 5 are women who are nominated. 1 is from the ulema, from the clergy. 1 is a technocrat, and 1 is a non-resident Kashmiri, maybe living overseas. That's how these 8 seats are filled, which means government can pretty much fill these 8 seats. That leaves us with 45. Even those 45 don't go to the polls in Pakistan Occupied Kashmir in PoK. Only 33 go to the polls. So what happens to the remaining 12? The remaining 12 are allocated to what the Pakistanis describe as Kashmiri refugees all over the country. People from Kashmir who went all over the country, seats have been allocated to them. They vote from wherever they are, and these 12 are elected like that. Local people think that these, first of all, 8 nominated seats the government controls, and second, government has control or the ability to control or manipulate these 12 seats as well. In the process, 20 in a house of 53, the government directly or indirectly controls. So they determine who will rule. We have no autonomy at all. This election is a sham. This election is there only in a name. Our vote doesn't have any value. That is now the main source of protest and anger. Plus, you know what? These so-called refugees who are spread all over, their voting rights become hereditary. So their children inherit those rights because the division of Kashmir, the territory along two sides of ceasefire line and then LOC, that took place in 1947-48. After that, 2 generations have come and gone. They are asking, why should this privilege be hereditary? They say that you can have a nominal symbolic representation for these refugees, but not like this. Even within the 12, there is trouble because among the 12, 6 have been allocated to refugees from the Kashmir Valley and 6 to those from the Jammu region. Once again, there is a belief that this division is not fair. Now, why did I say in the very beginning that calling this Azad Kashmir is one big sham on the part of the Pakistani state? I'll give you a bunch of reasons. First of all, while through these nominated seats and refugee seats, they control the assembly, they also have a ministry for Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan affairs in their federal government. Because they have to keep the pretense that this is a region whose fate is yet to be decided, they have not given that Kashmir, the Kashmir that they occupy, any place in their National Assembly. So in Pakistan Occupied Kashmir, no elections are held for Pakistani National Assembly because you know what? You haven't yet decided where you want to go. I will tell you how ridiculous that is. At the same time, they have a ministry for Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan affairs, and they also have a Kashmir Council. Kashmir Council with 14 members that oversees all the affairs of the Kashmir that they occupy. Of the 14 members, there is the Prime Minister and President of their part of Kashmir, 6 other members of that assembly, that makes it 8, and then the remaining 6 are nominated by the government, by the federal government, and this is headed by who? By the Prime Minister of the day. So once again, you know what a pretense it is to call this as an independent territory. Then why the description Azad is a sham? Azad would indicate, and many people think, that if there is a plebiscite tomorrow, there will not be a plebiscite because nobody even talks about those UN resolutions. Pakistan has been in violation of those UN resolutions for a long time, and what they do is they talk about the UN resolutions when they don't have a choice, when they think they are losing out, so suddenly they pull those out. But in the rest of the world, nobody is interested in those UN resolutions. The rest of the world knows that Shimla Agreement, the spirit of the Shimla Agreement was that whatever issues now remain, including Kashmir, will now be resolved purely bilaterally. The Pakistanis have stopped talking about the Shimla Agreement for the past 15 years or so, but that is their problem. The rest of the world doesn't bother. In any case, even if a plebiscite is to be held based on those resolutions, which I guarantee to you will never be held, there will be only two choices, because the UN resolutions say you can either choose India or you can choose Pakistan. There is no third box to tick. There is no option of an independent state. So I know there is a lot of misconception. Okay, Kashmiris are unhappy, you can hold a plebiscite. If they choose to be independent, so be it. But that option is not available. And I can tell you the Pakistanis will jump at the thought of such an option. In any case, Pakistan has left no such choice for the Kashmiris who happen to be under its control. For example, after the Shimla Agreement in 1972, in 1974, Pakistan gave their part of Kashmir, Pakistan Occupied Kashmir, a new constitution. This 1974 constitution, check out its clause 7.2. Clause 7.2 bars any person or political party from propagating or participating in any activity prejudicial or detrimental to the ideology of the state's accession to Pakistan. Similarly, when ministers, elected officials take the oath in Pakistan Occupied Kashmir, they have to swear allegiance to the ideology that Kashmir will accede to Pakistan. It will become a province to Pakistan. They are not given any other option, and that is how they are sworn in. So one, the constitution bars them from any other option. So even if they have a plebiscite tomorrow, constitutionally they can't vote for India, and the option of independence is not available in any case. Once again, while the pretense is that this is an autonomous or independent state, that's why the name Azad Kashmir, and the Pakistani tax authority, for example, Federal Board of Revenue, does not control taxation here, not does it control law and order, but all of this is done with a heavy hand, because for all practical purposes, this is a military state. We need to understand the part of Kashmir that Pakistan occupies. PoK, which the Pakistanis call Azad Kashmir, I have to keep it repeating again and again and again because it's so complicated and it's so sensitive. That has a population of about 5 million. If you read all the sources, they tell you 4.6 to 5.2 million. The last count was about 4.2 million, almost 10 years back. Let me just say, let's settle for 5 million, 50 lakh people. Gilgit-Baltistan, which for us is a part of Jammu and Kashmir, Pakistanis have taken it out and annexed it and made it a province in their federation. That has a population of 1.7 million, that is 17 lakh people, although that's a very large area. In comparison, Jammu and Kashmir, our Jammu and Kashmir has about 1.25 crore and Ladakh then has about 3.5 lakh. This Pakistani side of Kashmir, because they have to keep the facade of a democracy and elected government, it has had many selected leaders. See how the PoK has evolved on the Pakistani side. In 1945, there were two broad parties in all of Kashmir. The British were still in charge. One was Muslim Conference, headed by Sardar Ibrahim. Sardar Ibrahim was no illiterate guy. He had been to University of London, lawyer at Lincoln's Inn. So he had come back. He was heading Muslim Conference. Muslim Conference was more inclined to the idea of joining Pakistan. Then there was National Conference, headed by Sheikh Abdullah. Initially, both thought that Kashmir could be independent. It could be an independent state. But soon enough, Muslim Conference under Sardar Ibrahim decided that they were going to go with Pakistan. This is around time that Sheikh Abdullah, who was Prime Minister under Maharaja Hari Singh, decided to go in the other direction. He did not go towards Pakistan, and then we know what happened. The Pakistanis came in with an invasion, including the tribals and Pakistani regulars dressed in mufti. That's a standard operating procedure for the Pakistanis. We know that history, we don't have to go into that. We know what happened to Kashmir on the Indian side. On the Pakistani side, Sardar Ibrahim became the first president of Pakistan Occupied Kashmir. He had set it out just about a month before the Independence Day for India and Pakistan. On 19th of July 1947, he led what was called as Punch Uprising, which decided that the part of Kashmir, at least the part of Kashmir that they controlled, where they had influence, that will go with Pakistan. He was sworn in president, and he also swore allegiance to the ideology of Pakistan and to the ideology of accession of Kashmir to Pakistan. That's how it started there. What happened to Gilgit-Baltistan meanwhile? We haven't talked about how did that and where did that move. Gilgit-Baltistan, in fact, had seen action in 1946. That is when British Major William Alexander Brown, who was heading the Gilgit Scouts garrison in Skardu, called his troops and unilaterally declared that Gilgit-Baltistan was becoming a part of Pakistan. That is even a year before the formal partition of the subcontinent. In October 1947, now how do the Pakistanis formalize it? In October 1947, the Pakistanis came up with what was called as Karachi Agreement, where they met leaders of the Kashmir that they control to accept that Gilgit-Baltistan will be part of Pakistan. In 1948, the leaders of Pakistan Occupied Kashmir, which obviously included Sardar Ibrahim, they signed another agreement ceding Gilgit-Baltistan to Pakistan. Pakistan, in the course of time, annexed Gilgit-Baltistan, saying that this is just a province, this is not a part of Kashmir, which they consider as a territory disputed with India. India, of course, maintains that GB or Gilgit-Baltistan is as much a part of Jammu and Kashmir as the rest of it, and it's a part of the map of India. Then you see how far the Pakistanis have pushed it. They hold elections separately for the assembly of Gilgit-Baltistan as if it's a province of Pakistan. That assembly has 33 seats, of which only 24 go for elections. Another 9 are nominated. 6 of these are women and 3 are technocrats. These technocrats also include at least one clergyman or one member of the ulema. I'm quite tempted to go into the checkered history of political power in PoK in terms of who the leaders been. Mostly the same people have been either president or prime minister. Sometimes the same guy has been both. You can Google Sardar Abdul Qayyum Khan. But right now we'll be getting into too much information, or because Gen Z language is so popular right now, TMI. So let me not go there. We'll talk about that in the course of time. There'll be another opportunity soon enough.